and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here. I pump fake y'all. Thought we was gonna be on the Mossy, huh? Hold up. Trying to fix something. Trying to fix something. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing, man? You know what I'm saying? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, man. We is back. We is back. We in this thing. Make sure y'all go on the CoffeePotSideTV.com, man. Copy some merch, man. From, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Family Connected Apparel, bro. Copy some merch, bro. Copy a book. Make sure y'all get that volume 2. You ain't got that volume 2. You need to get that volume 2. You know what I'm saying? You got kids. Get your kids a children's book for the holiday, yo. We got you. You know what I'm saying? For my brothers coming out the streets in the consciousness, I got you. You know what I'm saying? As I learn, we all learn. Kofi got you. He gonna walk with Kofi, man, through his journey in the consciousness, man. Same with me, man. Walk through the journey with both of us, man. You know what I'm saying? But just released, hot off the press. Spears are flying, pseudos are crying. You know what I'm saying? Order precedes chaos in the spiritual combat. We on fire. We on fire. We on fire. Straight up. Straight like that. We on fire. We on fire. Selling books. Clothing line. Wing Big scholarship program for our African brothers, our African sisters over there on the continent with the Gay Njaro Skills Academy. We on fire. We on fire. Scholarship, 7 books, and a clothing line. Are you serious? In less than a year's time. And then Ben drops the other Pan-African Journal. Then Ben drops the other Pan-African Journal. Killmonger's Corner Volume 2. Kofi in there. I think T'Challa in there. I got 2 articles in the journal. Asar in there. B-Dot in there. Old boy from Dead Prez. Lily La Poete in there. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We is working. We is working. Yeah, man, I had to pump fake y'all out real quick, man. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. I'm waiting on people to fill up, man, so we can get to it. This is the aftermath, the Ish Talking session with your brother, India Red Shawn P. Yeah. It's the Ish Talking session. I'm trying to fix something real quick while I'm waiting on them to hop up in this joker. Oh, go back. Bam. How everybody doing though, man? How y'all doing out there? Man, we just working, man. I read every morning. You know what I'm saying? We just working. Yeah, no. That's what we doing over here. I need to turn the comments on one of the shows we just did, but it's a delay because of Facebook ain't updated yet. Truth to Powers, look into the code of tribe. Gabon. Okay. What up, Zane? What up, Pure? What's good? What y'all vibing to, man? What y'all on, man? Let me know what's up. What the business is. My brothers, they gotta go get they gotta go get their stuff together, you know what I'm talking about? They gotta get their stuff together. When they get their stuff together, I think they gonna hop on whatever their stuff is that they gotta get together. There go the video right here. Okay. It's not okay, all right, you can comment on it now. Yep. All right. Let me see if they come in. All right, so word on the street is that there's supposed to be some type of debate. I'm not calling it a debate because I refuse to call it a debate. It's gonna be a teaching moment. And I'm gonna use this opportunity to actually get in, go on dude platform and teach his platform a few things. One, I know, y'all already know what one of those few things is. And the other one, I'm just going upside his head. I'm going upside his head strong. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going straight up his head with the information. I'm showing why, you know what I'm saying? Some people just ain't as serious as we are. Some people just ain't as serious as we are with the information, man. They don't get busy how we get busy, bro. They online too much. They ain't reading books. They online too much. Way too much. Hey man, make sure y'all go back and y'all watch some of this stuff Panther been dropping, man. From the Orisha tip. You know what I mean? Share that stuff, man. A lot of our brothers and sisters caught up in Christianity, don't you know what I'm saying? And they looking for a way up out of that. Get them a way out, man. Get them a way out. Introduce them to Shay Shay. Appreciate that, Pure. Yeah, well, yeah, it's supposed to be on Facebook, but it's gonna be on Garfield channel. Dang, son. Yeah, the pandemic messed a lot of people money up, yo. I'm glad you found your situation, you know what I mean? 'Cause I know that kind of put a strain on people, man. I don't know how long you've been out, but I'm glad that you found some type of employment through this gap, bro. For real. But yeah, it's supposed to be on Garfield's platform. They taking turns. They'll do it on Dude. They'll do it on Dude platform one day out the week, and then they'll go to Garfield on the other one. So this is that time of the week that it'll be on Garfield's, and they gonna have their own little judges and all that. So I really don't care who the judges is. It don't make me no different. They could be all Hebrews. All I care. I don't even care. I don't care for the judge. You know what I mean? I ain't for none of that. Cause I don't want nobody to feel like, oh, y'all biased. You feel me? I don't feel like they pick some judges for my side, some judges for his side, and then all of a sudden it's conflicted. You know, it's about the information with me. It's not, and I'm telling you right. I know you're listening. I'm telling JJ right now, like I told him before, and I'm telling everybody listening audience. I want y'all to understand this clearly. This ain't about JJ at all. He just on the other side of this conversation. This is about the listening audience and the viewers who will go back and review the whole conversation between me and dude. It ain't even about the judges. It's about what we can learn together or what I can demonstrate to you that matters. I'm telling you right now, I ain't reading nothing in regard to the subject matter. I've been reading, I've been trying to finish up this book that I should have been done with last week and only got like 30 pages left. I've been doing that. I've been reading that. So I ain't thinking about reading nothing related to the topic. Again, when I go in, I'm going in with the specifications of dealing with a claim that's a part of his doctrine. And that claim is associated, it's embedded into, not associated, it's embedded in dude's doctrine. No way, no other way, shape, or form. You know, so I'm gonna deal with his claim. I'm gonna get busy on that. He said, have young Pharaoh judge. I'm gonna get busy on that. And then I hope y'all are catching, because I'm emphasizing the entire bill. I'm here Friday to teach the people. Whatever time it is, I'm here Friday to teach the people. I don't care nothing about JJ. I ain't go hoop and holler, argue back and forth. They give me 15 minutes to get me off. They talking about rounds. I really only need one round. I'm gonna present my information through its entirety because it's 15 minutes. So I'm gonna get it in. I'm gonna give you the information up front, and then I'm gonna go ahead and give you the primaries on the back end. So they won't be able to say that I didn't demonstrate either or. I'm gonna do all of that in one swoop. I'm gonna give the information up front. I'm telling y'all how I'm rocking. I don't care if he know. Ain't nothing to hide. Ain't nothing he can do. You can't stop the information when it comes, because you don't know what I'm coming with. So I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I'm coming with the information up front and the primaries on the back end. I ain't switching screens. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to Google Images. I ain't doing none of that. I'm going right in. I'm hitting the play button on my screen when I share my screen, and I'm presenting my argument for the people, and it's going down just like that. And I ain't got time for none of the other stuff. What up, though, Sutekh?
Shit, man. If he lose this is like how you claim to be a Hebrew after this. You. Like, it's over.
Yeah,
we'll definitely be tuned in. I done been asked to be a judge, so I'll see if that invitation is still open.
Yeah. Well, they'll let you judge. I guess, you know what I'm saying? But it ain't fair to you to really truly be a judge. They gonna be like, oh, you just picking him because of nothing. And then it ain't even gotta be there. Like, no, it's gonna be like you know what I'm saying? Listen, the research question is in my presentation. Now, however they want to title the video, whatever they want to say and all that other stuff, they can do that. I can tell y'all right now what I said, and I told JJ straight like this. Because this is a part of their doctrine.
Where he said that. You might need to put it in your presentation what he said with the original claim.
I did. It's in my presentation because it's the research question.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get in my phone and let me go to my notes. Cause you know what I'm saying? I put my phone out, it's been a good thing of me putting them notes in there. So here it is. were the Jews, Hebrews, and or Israelites enslaved in West Africa and shipped to the New World. That's part of their doctrine.
Exactly.
That's the core of their doctrine. If that fall, then who could they actually be? Because the Native Americans are part of one of their tribes, so they can't be the natives, indigenous to the land. They argue that they were on slave ships and brought over here to the New World. That's a part of their Holocaust. I ain't making that.
28 I said he about to Deuteronomy 28 shoot to death.
That's all good. But also he want to say he want a 2-part. So he want to argue that, right? You know what I'm saying? Because he's saying that he could do, he gonna show some Jews on the boats and all. That's what he said. Then he want to argue that, and then he wanted the 2-part with a 2-piece, and then say, and then he want to get into Jews being in Africa before any time I can prove it. He gonna prove the earliest Jews was there between X, Y, and Z. I don't know how he gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? So he want to do that, and I'm telling him, and he gonna say the white man didn't give us Judaism or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And this way he gonna mess up. Is where he gonna mess up. Cause I can't hide the information. So if the white man didn't do it, are you gonna say that the Berber Jews did it, coming from Morocco into West Africa? You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna say the Arabian Jews did it? Are you gonna say the European Jews did it? Now, you got 3 ways to go. The Berbers, they ain't us. The Berbers is considered Badan. It white, and to be honest, white only means culturally. It's a cultural emphasis. It's not a phenotypical emphasis. You're gonna use Africanus and his questionable accounts. You're gonna use Askia Muhammad's rendition of when he said he wanted to get rid of the Jews. He wanted to run into Timbuktu and get rid of the Jews. You got to remember, around the time Askia Muhammad running Jews up out of Timbuktu, the Portuguese is already in West Africa. You got the Portuguese, and guess what that is? The Portuguese Jew, the missionary. Why he running them up out of Timbuktu? Guess what? The Portuguese is there. So could it be the Portuguese Jew, or could it be the Berber Jew that he running up out of there from Morocco? We don't know specifically which Jew he talking about, because it just say Jew. Or could it be a mistranslation of some information? Oh man, let's have some fun tonight, man. Let's have some fun tonight. So hold on, let me get into that. Let me get into that. Hold on, y'all hear me typing? That mean y'all already know what that means. Y'all hear me typing? Let's get into that. Let me see. One more. Let me see. Let me get into scheme. Let's deal with Askia Muhammad. Let's deal with his rule. Yep. And then let's get into who I want to use on that one. I can go to encyclopedia.com, Britannica.com. Well, it don't even matter. I'll leave that right there. And then let's get into Timbuktu. Since that's what they want to bring up. Timbuktu. Let's do the history of Timbuktu. Timbuktu. We're just gonna use the website, ladies and gentlemen. We ain't gonna go too far. Nowhere left, no left, no right. We're gonna use Britannica. All right, so that's how we doing it on our side. Let's share the screen. Let's antagonize JJ right now off the rip. Jews and Balad El Sudan. Peep this. So describes West African Jewish communities which were connected with the Jewish communities which were expelled from Middle East, North Africa, or Spain or Portugal and immigrated to West Africa. This is who they're talking about now. Describes West African Jewish communities which were connected to known Jewish communities which were expelled. Now, these were Jewish communities that were expelled from the Middle East, North Africa, or Spain and Portugal, and they immigrated to West Africa. So they wasn't there. These people came to West Africa. They were expelled from other areas and came to West Africa. We don't know how many people it is. They don't say. Various historical records state that at one time they were present in Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires. At one time, they were present in Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires, which was called the Balad El Sudan, the land of the blacks, a name which is derived from the Arabic term which means the land of the blacks. In later years, Jews who were expelled from Spain, Portugal, and Morocco and immigrated to West Africa also formed their own communities off the coast of Senegal, as well as the island of Cape Verde. These Jewish communities continued to exist for hundreds of years, but they eventually disappeared as a result of changing social conditions, persecution, migration, and assimilation. So they were there and then they vanished. Poof. So the early history. Peep this. Because they're using the Tariq al-Sudan as one of the documents of interest in regard to the Zaza or the Ulema coming from Yemen. Now, according to most of the account, the earliest Jewish settlements in Africa were placed in Egypt, Tunisia, and Morocco. Jews had settled along the Nile and the Elephantine in Egypt. These communities was augmented by subsequent arrivals of Jews after the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in 70 CE, when 30,000 Jewish slaves were settled throughout the Carthage by the Roman Empire Titus. Africa is identified in various Jewish sources in connection with the Tarish and Orphi, the Septuagint, and Jerome, who was taught by Jews, and very often the Aramaic Targum on the prophets identify the biblical Tarshish with Carthage, which is the birthplace of some of the rabbis who are mentioned in the Talmud. Africa in the border sense is clearly indicated where the mentions in the 10 tribes who were driven into exile by the Assyrians and journeyed into Africa. Now, connected with this is the idea of that the river Sebastian is in Africa. The Arabs, who also know the legend of Beni Masu, or sons of Moses, agrees with the Jews in placing their land in Africa. As early as Roman times, Moroccan Jews began to travel inland in order to trade with groups of Berbers, most of whom were nomads who dwelt in remote areas in the Atlantis Mountains. Jews lived side by side with Berbers, forging both economic and cultural ties. Some Berbers even began to practice Judaism. In response, the Berbers spiritually transformed Jewish rituals, paintings into their belief in the power of the demons and the saints. When the Muslims swept across North Africa, Jews and Berbers jointly defied them. Across the Atlantis Mountains, the legendary Queen Kahina led a tribe in the 7th century Berbers, Jews, and North African ethnic group in the battle against the encroaching Islamic warriors. We don't know nothing about these people that they talking about. In the 10th century, as a social and political environment in Baghdad became increasingly hostile to the Jews, many Jewish traders who lived and worked there moved to the Maghreb, particularly to Tunisia. Over the following 2 or 3 centuries, the distinctive social group of traders who were active throughout the Mediterranean world became known as the Maghreb, passing the term identification from one father to son. According to listen to this. According to center local Malian legends and account of Tariq al-Sudan, many have recorded the first Jewish presence in West Africa, which coincide with the arrival of the first Zuluwa ruler of the Kokiyu and a brother who settled near the river Niger. He was only known as Zawiya Uliman, which means that he comes from Yemen. Some local legends state that Zua Aliman, whatever his name is, was a member of the Jewish communities which were in transport and voluntary move from Yemen by the Ethiopians in the 6th century. After the defeat of the Dud Nuwas, the Tariq al-Sudan states that there were 14 Zulu rulers in Kikuyu after the Zulu Ulema before the rise of Islam in the region. There's a debate on whether or not the Tariq al-Sudan can be understood in this manner. I'm going to say that last part again. There is a debate on whether or not the Tariq al-Sudan can be understood in this manner in regard to this whole Jewish claim. Moving on. It talks about the Islamic era. We ain't got to get into all of that. We get Leo Africanus up here talking about, you know what I'm saying, supposedly Jews coming into it. Well, you know, coming into a particular area, and he mentions Askia Muhammad declaring the enemy of the Jews, right? But we don't know which Jews. It could only be 3. I mean, it could really only be the Moroccan Jews coming into West Africa, because those are the ones, you know, they just told us that these Jews came from other distant places through North Africa. They fought with the Muslims in North Africa, and they continued on around a little pattern, and they come from North Africa through Morocco on into the West. The first place they gonna land is Senegal. All right, so now we have Jews of the Sahara. There seems to be little doubt about the Jews have largely been mixed with Berbers living in the Moroccan and Algerian Sahara. It is believed that some Berber clans may have been at one time Jews, and according to another tradition, they are descended from the Philistines driven out of Canaan. There is a tradition that Moses was buried at a cow. What is that? Talmukin. And the presence of a large number of Jews in the part of Africa is attested to not only by the many the many sacred places and shrines bearing biblical names, which are the holy to Muslims as well as Jews, but also the presence there a large number of Jewish sagas. Wren says certain Berber tribes were for a long time of the Jewish religion, especially in the Ames, and today, even we see among the Hanisha of Sakaras, Algeria, and the semi-nomad tribe of the Israelite devote entirely to agriculture. There go that word. So it goes on a little further, man. Y'all can look this up, man. You know what I'm saying, for yourselves. I don't want to bore y'all to death with all this reading. Here we go with Timbuktu. And what's the significance with Timbuktu? Dude right here was the last rabbi on the right. But Rabbi Soror with his younger brother, Shiizzzzz, came. Look what it say. Where it come from, Sutekh?
Where's that?
Where did Rabbi come from? Supposed to be in Timbuktu. Where it come from?
Where?
You can't see my screen.
Man, the word is little than a motherfucker.
Oh.
Okay, I see it a little bit now, yeah.
You see it now?
Yeah.
Where it say it come from?
Where?
Dude, right. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he came from Morocco. Okay. To be a trader in Timbuktu.
Look at him. This how the Jews look. This in the 1800s. This how the Jews look, y'all. Put them on the screen.
JJ now.
Now, do he look anything like JJ?
Hell nah.
What about Tazariak?
Nah.
What about General Yohana?
Hell nah.
What about
Nope.
your boy Divine Prospect?
Nope. He don't look nothing like Divine.
Zion.
Nah, definitely not Zion.
You mean to tell me none of them look like that? What about Imam Bashir?
Nah. Don't look like the baby.
Muslim. Huh?
Yeah. I said, don't look like the baby face assassin.
Yeah.
That ain't none of us.
No.
Ain't my answer.
But they was in Timbuktu. So if this the people that was in Timbuktu, they came from Morocco. When you talk about Jews in West Africa, where they come from, they came from Morocco. Let's continue. At the time, Rabbi Sora's Bowl Enterprise direct trade relations with the interior of West Africa, then known to them as the Sudan, were monopolized by Muslim merchants. Non-Muslims were precluded from this trade because Arab merchants were determined to forestall encroachments upon their lucrative business. So the Arabs are in control of the slave trade. The Jews show up to run politics, and this dude is one of the people who is influential in this whole game. As a man of a cosmopolitan experience, he was well suited to be a merchant in that time and place. He was clever, shrewd, articulate, audacious, or whatever that word means. And most important, he knew the Quranic law as well as most learned Muslims. Should you know the Quranic law because your people wrote it? Throughout his travels to Timbuktu, Rabbi Sora preferred to have most of his merchandise transported across the Sahara by the Bajul. The term Bajawi refers to single or small groups of camels that carried the travelers sometimes with merchandise or baggage and were accompanied by indigenous guides, pretty much the Tuareg, tax cabs of the Sahara. As a Jew, he couldn't set up his trading business, so he appealed to the regional ruler, who at the time was a Fulani, emir, and negotiated, there go that word again, Jimmy. You're going to see this word, y'all. Y'all are going to see this funky word right here. I ain't bringing it up intentionally, but this word right here, y'all gonna see the word come up on Friday. So I need y'all to know what this word means. Is a historical term for non-Muslims living in Islamic State and legal protection. The word literally means protected person. So what I'm trying to tell y'all right now, the cat is out the bag. The Jews were protected people among the Muslims who controlled the trade. They could not be enslaved. Nor Christian, nor Jew, nor Hebrew could be enslaved. Between 620 and 720 AD, whenever Muslim rule, whenever that whole little thing, they got control over what they needed to have control over after 720 AD or 740 AD. Demi, they labeled them that. They could not be reduced to slaves. So how is you on a ship? Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. How is you enslaved and then you on the ship? I done let the cat out the bag. I don't even care. I'm ending it, bro. I'm leading up because this ain't none of this information that we talking about right now and what I'm getting into on Friday. None of it. The only thing that's in it is this little word right here. And y'all just need to know what that word means.
Yep, them Muslims will conquer different places, and sometimes they'll let you keep your religion for a hefty annual fee. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta pay that bag if you want to be able to
pay that bag, man.
Yeah, man. If you want to be able to keep your religion, stay where you at.
And payment to the Shiizzzzz tax.
Exactly.
You gonna be Hebrew. You gonna be all that. We ain't even gonna enslave you, cause we can't show you not paying your tax. You know what the money you involved with the money. Now, let's continue on. Between 1860 62, Rabbi and his brother Yitzhak were able to become successful and they became well known in the area. After earning a small fortune, Rabbi Sword returned to Morocco in 1863. So you Moors that's doing all that flip-flopping and high capping and high siding, y'all don't look nothing like them Berbers. Y'all don't look nothing like this dude either. Because guess what? He go right on back to Morocco peacefully. Looking how he looking. That's a Berber right here. I'm telling you that. This dude here crazy. He a Jew. That's his belief. But he go back to Morocco. That's where it said he returned to Morocco. He gave his father a large sum of money and talked to his other brothers into joining him on his next venture to Timbuktu. In 1864, the Jewish colony in Timbuktu had reason to rejoice since by the end of the year, they had 11 adult male Jews in residence. 11 adult male Jews in residence. This was significant since it meant that they could form, listen to this, y'all, a minyan and establish a synagogue there. So all it took was 11 of them to form a synagogue. Only males 13 and older may constitute. Look, so now they got all these people there now. That ain't a lot of people, but they got the people there now. Now they have a community, a presence in West Africa. Look at these people names, man. Now you think all these people with these names right here gonna be some black people, sub-Saharan, African, would later be African Americans during the trade? Because during this period right here, what y'all really don't know is during the 1860s, you got the illegal slave trade still going on. The slave trade was over. The illegal slave trade going on right now. That mode went on early into the early 1900s. Here we go, moving on. You got Cape Verde, Manuel I, 1496, decided to exile thousands of Jews, Sao Tome, Principe, Cape Verde. The numbers expelled at this time were so great that the term Portuguese almost implied those of Jewish origin. I'm going to say that again. The numbers expelled at this time was so great that the term Portuguese almost implied those of Jewish origin. Because that's who it is, Portuguese. Those who were not expelled were converted by force or executed. During the early 19th century, Jews also came to settle in Santo Antonio, where they were still traces of their influx in the name of the village of Sinagogo, located on the north coast of Ribeira, Granada, and Janila, and the Jewish cemetery at the town of Ponta de Sol. Final chapter of Jewish history in Cape Verde took place in 1850s when Moroccan Jews arrived, especially in Boa Vista and Mayo, for the hide trade. We ain't got to go too far, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. We ain't got to go too far. Now, here it is. History of the Moroccan Jews constitutes an ancient community. All you need is a community. You can claim you're there. Look, before the founding of Israel in 1948, there were about 250,000 to 350,000 Jews in the country, which gave Morocco the largest Jewish community in the Muslim world. 1948. But 2017, only 2,000 or so remain. Where the hell they go? Jews in Morocco, originally speakers of the Berber language, Judeo-Moroccan Arabic, and Judeo-Spanish, were the first in the country to adopt the French language, and unlike the general population, French remains the main and in many cases the exclusive language of members of the Jewish community there. The Jewish presence dates back to 2,500 years to the time of Carthaginian state. They need a citation. The Hebrew Aramaic languages used by the Jews were closely related to the Punic language of the Carthaginians. Many Jews are settled among the Berbers and adopted their languages. Cite read. Later, under the dominion of the Romans after 429, the Vandals, Maritime Jews reportedly increased in number and prospered. Cite needed. As Christianity was adopted by the Roman state and the church council of Carthage adopted policies that discriminated against the adherents to Judaism, the Justinian edict of the persecution for North Africa issued the Vandal rule had been overthrown, and the Mauritania had come under the dominion of the Byzantines in 534, which directed against the Jews as well as the Arians and the Donatists and other dissenters. In the 7th century, the Jewish population of Mauritania received a further assertion of the Iberian Peninsula, those who wished to escape Visigothic legislation. At the end of the same century, at the time of the Great Arab Conquest in Northwest Africa, there were in Mauritania, according to the Arab historians, many Jews. Arab Conquest and the Idrisids, 703 to 1146. Since the city of Fez was founded in 808, they attracted a diverse counter-population from all areas. Among those newcomers came the Jews who contributed commercial capabilities to the new development economy. They settled in Medina de Fez and formed a stable community which was an integral part of their city life. The golden age of the Jewish community in Fez lasted for almost 300 years, from the 9th to 11th centuries. Its Yesovich religious schools attracted brilliant scholars, poets, and grammarians. This also probably goes back to the reason why Morocco was feeling how they was feeling at that time, because of Jewish presence in the Morocco to get them the balls to go and fight. This period was marred by a pogrom in 1033, which is described by the Jewish Virtual Library as an isolated event, primarily due to political conflict between the Maghreb and the Ephraim tribes. Under the Almoravids, I don't want to talk about the Almoravids. Under the Almohads, I don't talk about them. Under the Marinids, I don't care nothing about none of them, because all these people ain't us. They ain't sub-Saharan African. The Spanish expulsion of the Jews, I don't want to talk about the Reconquista. None of that. They ain't got nothing to do with us. These people that they talking about came into West Africa that was of Jewish descent, were these people that were coming from other places, and or these Moroccan people that end up being what they call the Moroccan Jews. That boy got some work to do. He got some work to do. This could help him a little bit, because, you know what I'm saying? He just be like, our people converted to it because of Moroccan Jew. No, you got to show that, buddy. I'm getting in his ass. No homo, I'm going to kick it. I don't too much want to talk about these folk no more. But yeah, that's what we talking about, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to shut up for the next couple days. We're going to get into it. I ain't even really got to get into Aski or Muhammad. I ain't even got to get into Timbuktu. I'm going to start sharing my screen, man.
The Igbo was Jews, though.
Yeah, they sure will. Oh,
yeah, he gonna hit you with that.
Yep.
That's a common one.
He can swing for the fences. How did Igbo become that?
So they got a lot of the cultural practices of the Jews.
Yeah,
I don't know what make them think they can. They got a monopoly on circumcision, though. They say, look, they circumcised. All right, sure. So did Kemet. That's where we see it first. So how you claiming that? Well, they circumcised. They do that. Y'all circumcise females too? All right. He said they can't make no more Hebrew. Nah, man, don't put that on Matumbo, man. Matumbo is Bakongo. Straight up out of them forests. Let's see what else they're talking about.
Yeah, man. I ain't saying that, man, for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
The Tariq on the sheet. Yeah, man. So you're gonna have to break out the primaries. Show us who
I ain't
these Jews.
what I don't want to do is I didn't want to do in this is I didn't want to exhaust the information because I got like so much homework on the subject in the direction that I'm actually going. So I didn't want to I didn't want to like bore people. So um that's why I did it the way that I did it. I'm gonna get the information and then I'm gonna get into the primary. Now, if they want to give me a second or a third round, I'll probably get it all out in 15 minutes. If they want to give me a second or third round, um, I'm just going, I'm gonna run it up because I really don't want to do too much. I'm gonna sit back and listen to this brother, and then I might use a second or a third to kind of, you know, deal with whatever he's saying. You know what I'm saying? That'd be the only thing I got to do because after I show what I got to show, I really ain't trying to waste too much time. I'm trying to end that mug in the first like 2 slides. Before I show a primary source, I'm gonna be trying to do it. Well, I think y'all gonna like the direction I'm coming. I think everybody gonna like the direction I'm coming. You know what I mean? I think he'll even respect the direction I'm coming because it ain't disrespectful. It's scholastic, and it's a teaching moment. So that's why I really ain't even too caught up in him. All right. The Kimbe Mutombo Hebrew.
Oh man, don't be putting that on Mutombo,
Man, Tariq Nasheed is horse crap, yo. That dang man, the death of us is them damn what's that shit he be doing?
I'm telling you, I told you got to get into it. You got to break that shit.
Man, the hidden colors is our biggest problem. Hidden colors is our biggest problem. We hidden from our own color. We hidden from our own color, yo. I had it.
Yeah. That's something that a lot of people use when they first come into the conscious community.
Yeah, man. Number 1 stage 1 conscious pack. Number 1 stage 1 conscious pack. Let me man, I'm hungry. I really ain't ate nothing, man. I see what you're doing. Hey, real quick though, you see, nah, them I don't even want to bring it up. We talking about something I don't want to change the topic. Not that much left. I don't even feel like working the rest of this month, man. It's crazy. It's December. I don't even feel like working the rest of the month. I'm gonna be off of the last week of the month anyway, but I don't even feel like working the rest of the month. I said took a whole month off.
You took a whole month off?
Nah, I said I could. That wouldn't have done me. That wouldn't have done me no good.
I'm about to say shit. It must be nice. Yeah, man, we gotta get into them hidden colors, man. That shit bring a lot of people still holding on to them hidden colors. A lot of that hidden colors rhetoric.
Yeah, man. What was the best hidden colors? What was the best one?
Shit, by default I gotta say one because I don't think I think I seen one, maybe two, maybe part two. but that's it. I think they got like 4 or 5 now.
Yeah. You know what? And I bought the first 3.
Shit.
I bought the first 3. So it ain't like I can't talk about them. I bought them. You know what I'm saying? I bought them. Put my hard-earned money into them. And I bought them. So shoot, I can critique it. If I pay money,
just,
I can critique it.
I'm gonna buy it just to critique it. I ain't bought it. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. How is YouTube on us playing the video though?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, what can we do? You feel me?
I mean, I think as long as we critiquing it, I gotta go back and look and check out them copyright rules. But as far as I know, as long as we critiquing the video, we can put it up.
So we gotta be like talking, then we gotta play a little bit, then we gotta talk, then we play a little bit.
Yep.
Talk, play a little bit. But if I got it on DVD and I got my Mac, I ain't got no disc on this Mac. I got an HDMI cord. They ain't gonna do nothing but send it to my TV.
I think it might be a way I could play it. You know, I got my little streaming out. It's on there. I was watching a little bit of it the other day.
Oh, okay. So you got it on the app.
Yeah, I can share my screen. I can do it like that.
Zion said the first one because it introduced me to all the pseudos.
Exactly. Like you ain't watching part 2 or part 3 without watching 1. So yeah, I mean, shit. Logically, I'm gonna say 1.
Yeah. Black people ate that up too, boy. They made it to week famous.
That romanticism. You know, we love to hear that shit that make us feel good.
Mm-hmm. He did it too. Him and goddamn his boy.
Oh, Umar.
Mm-hmm. Umar took off right around that time too.
Yeah, he got the sister too. I can't think of her name. I think it's some Shiizzzzz or something. I can't remember the sister name. She in that too.
Ali.
Nah, not her.
Oh, you talking about the lawyer?
I don't know. Is she a lawyer? I don't know.
She been on Setep?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lawyer.
Okay, yeah, I ain't know she was a lawyer. Yeah, she in there. You know, talking about black people weren't never in no caves and all that type of nonsense.
Yeah, in a cave lie.
Yeah, man, we gotta stop using that caveman shit.
Yeah, our asses was in caves.
Yeah, we was in caves. The caves before they was.
Exactly. We wasn't living in no damn huts. We wasn't even building them.
Man, ain't nothing wrong with escaping them elements.
Our asses was in trees, caves. Shit, they was in caves eating on oysters. You better go look inside.
Caves, eat seafood, paint shit up.
Paint shit. Yep. Left the evidence for the files and all that. One of the maroons in cave. I don't know nothing about the maroon. I'll be lying to you.
Yeah, that's why I was.
Mm-hmm.
It probably was. It makes sense. They was hiding around the mountains and shit. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it may very well been in caves.
But Zane, did you hear my response to your question though? Most people ain't positive enough to do that. They just gonna answer and be like, yeah, or nah. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
I defer to Voss. He on all that maroon shit. Man, ain't nothing like chilling in the winter, bro.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you eating that vegan shit.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Shit gone. That was fine. Some reason, man, I cannot. If I'm fasting, that's one of the hardest things I can't turn down. Chilling. Hey, man. That broke my fast, man. I went 64 hours. I was almost in my 72.
Fucked it up.
Fucked it up.
I ain't said I still ain't watched none. I stuck to the clips.
Bro, you ain't gotta watch it. You ain't
miss
gotta. Shoot, Facebook telling it now. Yep. Man. But yeah, man, what's up, y'all? So we vibing out on the tube, you know what I mean? I think Pure done dipped on us, y'all, because he ain't commented since, you know what I mean? After Dikembe the Hebrew, I think the Most High done took his internet.
With the plug on that motherfucker. Dang Calloway.
Mm-hmm. Some happened to him. Yeah. He must be eating too. He must have worked up appetite too. Who got, man? Put a 1 in the chat, man. If you got let me put a 1 in the chat, man. If you own all 3 Spears books. Man, let me tell y'all what I do to my chili, bro. I hit it with a little bit of shredded cheese, and then I hit it with a little sour cream. Boston.
Crackers in that motherfucker?
Yeah, sometimes I be doing it. Sometimes I don't care. Then I got then I put then I hit it with a little taco seasoning sauce. You know, you know what I'm saying? The little sauce you get. Yeah, spice it up a little bit sometimes. I do that sometimes.
Oh, we got one.
Kofi, what up? You ain't gonna speak? You know what I'm saying? I know you're chilling in the hospital, uncomfortable, can't sleep anyway. You know what I'm saying? I said that, but he's not hospitalized. I kind of slipped that out, but he's not hospitalized. But you know, he's somewhere where he can't sleep anyway. So I said I'll be sleeping on the sour cream, bruh. Put it in the chili when you get it. However you make your chili, cheese it up and hit it with the sour cream, and then get back to me. Just do 1 bowl because you're gonna eat 2 bowls. Do 1 bowl. If you don't like it, bro, you know what I mean? You know, I cash app you $5. I know you're gonna be honest with me. You know what I'm saying? So I can do that for you, Zane. Yeah, man. Yep. She ordered her book the other day. It's on the way. She got all day. Hey man, what y'all know about the mRNA vaccines?
I don't know nothing about it. I ain't even been up on they just
huh?
I ain't even been up on the one they just came out with. And they just come out with a vaccine.
Yeah. Another third one. The third one showing high efficacy rate as well. But I think it's important. Hold on. Let me do it for the people right now because we just kicking the shit. So I got a 30-minute video if y'all got time. I hope y'all got time. But I got a 30-minute video that I want to put y'all up on. Really, I want to get into a couple of things. No. I don't want to get into that one. Yeah, let me get into this. Give me a second. I'm going to pull it up. It's 30 minutes. So if I can just have like 30 minutes of y'all time, this would be a cool little bill because this will give y'all some insight on some stuff and we can kind of talk about some stuff and deal with it from a scientific perspective. And if y'all want me to pause it and stuff like that, you know what I mean? We could do that and we can just kind of build on it a little bit. But you should hit us again. So let's see if y'all can hear this. Let me know.
Support for NPR and the following message come from our sponsor, Comcast Business, for restaurant owners like Clint Kusky.
Can y'all hear that?
Yep, it's clear on this end.
Okay, should I share my screen or just leave it like it?
To be safe, you probably just want to leave it like that. Unless it's some shit we need to see.
Creativity and adaptability have been key this year, but so has fast, reliable internet. Tap the play button to hear how his team pivoted with confidence thanks to their partnership with Comcast Business.
Oh, they said they can't hear.
All right. Yeah, I figured that was going to be. So let me know if y'all can hear. Let me know if
This is 1A. I'm Jen White in Washington. With coronavirus surging worldwide, scientists are racing to develop a safe and effective vaccine. 3 companies, Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca, have candidates that look promising. But these vaccines aren't your normal flu shot. They use mRNA, one of the latest advances on the cutting edge of biotechnology. But what is it exactly? Joining us to help answer that question is Angela Rasmussen. She's a virologist at the Columbia University Mailman School of Public Health. Angela, it's great to have you back with us.
It's great to be back, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Also here, Walter Isaacson. He's been one of the participants in the Pfizer vaccine trials. He's also a professor of history at Tulane University and author of the upcoming book, The Codebreaker. It explores gene editing and the biotech revolution. Walter, we're glad to have you.
Thanks for having me back.
So Angela, without, if possible, getting too technical, what is RNA and what is mRNA?
Okay, so RNA is similar to DNA in that it is a molecule that encodes genetic information. mRNA refers to messenger RNA, and that specifically is a molecule of RNA that is used to give a cell instructions on how to make a protein. So that's really what it encodes. It's essentially a blueprint for a protein, and our cells normally make mRNAs. That's how we actually express the genes that are encoded in our DNA. For these vaccines, what that mRNA is encoding is the spike protein from SARS coronavirus 2, which our body will then make immune responses against.
So I've heard this term spike protein quite a lot. Explain a little bit more about what that actually is.
So the spike protein is so named because it looks like a spike jutting out from the surface of the virus particle. And what the spike protein actually does is it binds the receptor on the host cell, on our cells, and that's a molecule called ACE2. When the spike protein binds ACE2, that gives the cell instructions essentially to take the virus inside of it to begin the infection.
Now, Walter, I want to talk about your experience being a part of the Pfizer trial. How did you decide to become a participant?
Well, I'm writing about messenger RNA and about RNA in general. It's the most amazing molecule. In fact, it's probably the molecule that started life on this planet. We're using it now to edit genes. That's what CRISPR is and part of the biotech revolution. So totally fascinated about RNA. I'm down in New Orleans and, I hear about this trial going on. Both Pfizer and Moderna, two pharmaceutical companies, are doing trials using messenger RNA, as was said, to build the spike protein, have our own cells build the spike protein to cause immunity to COVID. And so I just went online at the end of July and signed up. I got a call the next day, went to Ochsner Hospital, and they make sure you don't know whether you got the placebo or the real thing, but I got shots.
And at this point, do you still not know whether you took the vaccine or the placebo?
Correct. I think, some people can get themselves tested, whether you're swollen or not. Because I'm writing about it, I'm playing by the rules. I'm being very safe, and I'm not trying to figure out which one I got.
Well, Melissa on Facebook says, I'm in this Pfizer trial, very excited to see its positive results so far. Walter, it sounds like you were pretty familiar with the science behind mRNA vaccines before you signed up to be part of the trial. What initially captured your interest?
I was writing about the biotech revolution, Jennifer Doudna, Manuel Charpentier, the people who used CRISPR, which is a ancient method bacteria have for fighting off viruses. They found a way to use it to edit our own genes. That's what won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry this year, the two of them. And so I was very interested in it. I've always been interested in science. But I also feel that we do things in life, like do jury duty, or we do, vote, or we participate in civic life. I think that it's kind of, it helps connect you to science if you participate in civic life by doing a clinical trial for science. And so I think we should all volunteer for these clinical trials. Sometimes we get a little intimidated by our science. We get a little afraid of it or abstracted from it or alienated from it. And this is just a way for us to connect to biology by saying, I'm going to go online to a local hospital and figure out what clinical trials they're doing.
Jennifer on Facebook asks, is this a live vaccine?
So no, it's not a live vaccine. And that is one of the advantages to this. You are not going to be exposed to any actual virus at all, whether it's SARS coronavirus 2 or a different virus as some of the other vaccines are based on.
Real quick, I want y'all to fully understand what she just said. This vaccine does not have the virus in it. Every other vaccine that we've ever taken had what we quote unquote call the dead virus. And in some instances, some people, the pseudo say, well, what about the incident where the virus was still alive? And you know what I mean? Dealing with previous vaccines, from the 50s. This vaccine does not have the virus in it at all. So how can it work?
On. Messenger RNA is really just a molecule that, again, it gives your cells the instructions on how they can make the spike protein. Your cells will then produce that protein and your immune system will respond to it. So there's no live virus or even inactivated virus as any part of this vaccine.
Well, Amber on Facebook asks, how is an mRNA vaccine different from the kind we're used to? What are some already in use and what has the success rate been for those? Are there mRNA vaccines already being used?
So no, these would be the first mRNA vaccines that would be actually on the market, available to the public. These mRNA vaccines have gone through phase 1 trials for other viruses, but they've never gotten an approval. And so they are very different from the current vaccines that are out on the market. Those are all several different types of vaccines. We have inactivated vaccines, which are similar to the flu shot, which are live viruses that have been chemically inactivated. So you're essentially getting exposed to dead virus. We have live attenuated vaccines. A good example of this is the measles vaccine. That's where you get a live virus, but one that is incapable of causing disease. So you develop immunity to the infection, but you don't actually ever get sick from it. And then there's also what are called subunit vaccines. These are proteins. So rather than having your cells make the spike protein, this would be giving your cells the protein after it's been made in a lab. And recently, we have approval for one viral vectored vaccine, which is where you use another virus and then you decorate that or genetically engineer it to express the protein that you are trying to develop immunity to.
Well, there's an ongoing conversation about how fast these vaccines are being developed, and one of you shared this concern with us.
Hi, this is Mitch in Fort Smith, Arkansas. There's a reason that our drug approval process takes a decade. We want to be sure the drugs we're passing out to people are as safe as they can be. mRNA has an endless number of possibilities for damage it can do to your body in terms of silencing genes you're already using. This is just a bad situation, and someone is going to end up taking the blame for forcing through this process when all we really needed to do was distance ourselves, mask up, and let it pass while we studied it.
Walter, as someone participating in the study, how would you respond to that concern?
I think there's always concerns when you try a new vaccine, but this one has had enormous safety testing. There are 44,000 people in the Pfizer trial, and then, of course, the Moderna trial has about another 30,000. There have been no incidents of people being harmed. So I think, he does talk about gene suppression, gene silencing, but there's just no evidence for that. I think if you say you want to wait 10 years to do a vaccine for coronavirus, the coronavirus that causes COVID, I just don't think that trade-off makes any sense to me.
Well, these vaccines are projected to be finished by the end of the year. Angela, how have Pfizer and Moderna been able to develop this vaccine so quickly?
Well, a big advantage to these vaccines, as well as the other vaccines that are in late stage clinical trials, is that you don't actually need to isolate the virus to develop them. You only need the sequence of the viral genome. And that sequence was uploaded on a public server so that the whole world could basically get access to it on January 10th.
All right. What she just said about this vaccine is what the dude said originally with the biotech industry. This is the significance and the importance of mRNA vaccines. They're going to tell us more, but the virologist Angela Rasmussen is giving us the business on how it got to this point so fast, because people were so hung up on the old way of doing things. Technology has helped us advance and use tools to bring us into the space age to make quicker vaccines, meaning we get the vaccine, it's an RNA, and we can move forward with continuing to doing all the other the phase testings, which they're on the third phase right now. The next phase is to make it available for the public. And they already got efficacy reports that's 90% or above. They only needed it to be 50%, but they're using mRNA.
So when that happened, that allowed us to determine that this virus was in fact a coronavirus. We do have experience developing vaccines, even though they've never come to the market for SARS coronavirus and MERS coronavirus. So we know that the spike protein is what your immune system will be predominantly responding to. So these vaccines were able to take that information about the virus sequence, identify the spike protein, and begin manufacturing these vaccines and designing them essentially the day that the sequence was made available to the public.
We're learning more about mRNA with Angela Rasmussen, a virologist at the Columbia University Mailman School of Public Health. Also with us, Walter Isaacson. He's participating in the Pfizer vaccine trials. He's a professor of history at Tulane University, whose upcoming book is about the biotech revolution. I'm Jen White. This is 1A from WAMU and NPR.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Headspace. Life can be stressful, but 2020 has challenged even the most difficult times of life. You need stress relief that goes beyond quick fixes. That's Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations and an easy-to-use app. Need help falling asleep? Headspace has wind-down sessions. Go to headspace.com/1A for a free month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation.
Do you talk about the news with your friends, your family, or maybe perfect strangers? You can get all the facts you need to be up to speed on this busy news cycle on the 1A News Roundup. Find the podcast in your feed every Friday.
Since the 1980s, hip-hop and America's prisons have grown side by side.
And we're going to investigate this connection to see how it lifts us up and holds us down.
Hip-hop is talking about what we live, trying to live the American dream, failing at the American dream.
I'm Sydney Madden.
I'm Rodney Carmichael. Listen now to the Louder Than a Riot podcast from NPR Music,
where we trace the collision of rhyme and punishment in America.
I'm Jen White. This is 1A. We're discussing the new mRNA vaccines with Walter Isaacson. He's a professor of history at Tulane University and author of the upcoming book, The Codebreaker. It explores gene editing and the biotech revolution. He's also a participant in the Pfizer vaccine trials. Also with us, Angela Rasmussen, a virologist with the Columbia University Mailman School of Public Health. Here's another concern one of you shared with us.
Hi, I'm Eliza from Garden City, Michigan. I'm wondering about the long-term side effects. I can't find anything online that refutes or supports any chance of long-term side effects that isn't absolutely unscientific. What sort of things are we missing by the emergency order, and how can I refute those fears to people who want to wait until some unforeseen thing happens to get the vaccine?
Okay, so Angela, let's start. She refers to an emergency order there, but I think she means the emergency use from the FDA. How would you respond to Eliza? Is there anything in the data from the Pfizer and Moderna trials that might help ease her concerns?
So yes and no. Trials like this on this timescale obviously can't look at those long-term potential side effects any more than they can look at durability or how long the vaccine's protection lasts. And that durability question is something that's normally addressed in phase 3 trials the way that they have been done previously, where, as a previous caller pointed out, they can take years. But the thing is, long-term side effects for most vaccines are actually quite rare, and they're often not observed even in those longer durability trials that I mentioned. So often, those types of side effects really only become apparent once a vaccine is actually released onto the market and people begin to be immunized by the millions. And really, we're talking about the rate of side effects that are like 1 in a million, 1 in 500,000 in terms of side effects. So those wouldn't be normally detected in any clinical trial, regardless of the time scale that it's on. So I think that in terms of people waiting for a vaccine, people are really going to have no choice but to wait unless they're a frontline healthcare worker, just because of when these vaccines will actually become available to the general public. So people really shouldn't worry too much, I think, about long-term side effects, because these trials do look at the short-term safety profiles. And so we should have good information about that. People should just remind themselves that these long-term side effects are usually extremely rare and unlikely to be any less rare for these vaccines than for any other vaccine.
Walter, were side effects a concern for you when you signed up to be a part of the trial?
No, I mean, you have side effects from, anything from not only flu shots, but taking a long hot shower. But there's no there's no evidence that there'd be any serious side effect whatsoever. And with all the people who've done the trial since August 1st, there was no side effect. Now, the real question, as Angela just said, is what about 5, 10 years from now, or 4 or 5 years from now? Angela, I think, gave a good answer for that. I mean, nothing in life is certain, but this is certainly a good health vaccine.
Well, Adam on Facebook says one could reasonably presume that those participating in the trial are more likely to wear masks and socially distance than the wider population, and they're more likely to follow through with the second shot. Walter, I'm not sure the Pfizer trial includes 2 shots, but to Adam's point, were you given any specific guidance on your behavior as part of this trial?
No, we were just told to behave as we normally would. I got a booster shot or a booster placebo after 3 weeks, so it does take 2 shots, as does the Moderna vaccine. And yeah, it's possible that people who do vaccine clinical trials are a little bit safer than people who don't. One of the things that's interesting, hadn't gotten much play, is they held up the Moderna trial, clinical trial, which could have finished sometime around October. And one reason was there was a request that they add more diversity, which is not exactly the question that was asked. But if you get all the same type of people who volunteer, you don't get racial, ethnic, socioeconomic, economic diversity. And they required Moderna to add more diversity. Pfizer had done that by going from 30,000 up to 44,000. And going back to a point Angela just made about future vaccines, one of the cool things about RNA is that when you have a vaccine like that, you can reprogram it to make any protein or take on any new virus that comes along. And reprogramming it, could take just a couple of days. Even a graduate student in biology, once you get the genetic sequence of a new virus that comes along, you can reprogram a messenger RNA virus. It won't be quite that simple, but it won't be like trying to create from scratch a new vaccine.
Walter, how does it feel to be a part of this moment in history? As someone who's looking at the future of biotechnology, where do you see that future heading?
I think we've had 3 great technology revolutions of our time. We've had the atomic revolution beginning of the 20th century. And that leads to everything from atom bombs to GPS to microchips and transistors and semiconductors. Then we had an information technology revolution that begins in the 60s with the invention of the computer, the microchip, and the internet. And most of our kids, we sort of push them to learn how to code, because if you're going to be part of the information technology revolution, you had to know digital coding. I think beginning in 2000 with the sequencing of the human genome by the Human Genome Project, and now all the way through 2012 with the invention of ways to use RNA to edit human genes, like with CRISPR. We're at the beginning of a great 50-year period that will be a biotech revolution. And I think our kids who know how to code will also have to know the code of life. They'll have to understand genetic coding. And it's interesting the way a new revolution can come on like this. COVID will help us spur it even faster, because between CRISPR gene editing and then having to fight viruses, molecules will be the new microchip.
That's Walter Isaacson. He's a participant in the Pfizer.
Y'all heard what he said. Coding. Let me go back just a little bit.
New revolution can come on like this. COVID will help genome technology revolution.
I feel to be a part of this moment in history. As someone who's looking at the future of biotechnology, where do you see that future heading?
I think we've had 3 great technology revolutions of our time. We've had the atomic revolution beginning at the 20th century. And that leads to everything from atom bombs to GPS to microchips and transistors and semiconductors. Then we had an information technology revolution that begins in the 60s with the invention of the computer, the microchip, and the internet. And most of our kids, we sort of push them to learn how to code, because if you're going to be part of the information technology revolution, you had to know digital coding. I think beginning in 2000 with the sequencing of the human genome by the Human Genome Project, and now all the way through 2012 with the invention of ways to use RNA to edit human genes, like with CRISPR. We're at the beginning of a great 50-year period that will be a biotech revolution. And I think our kids who know how to code will also have to know the code of life. They'll have to understand genetic coding. And it's interesting the way a new revolution can come on like this. COVID will help us spur it even faster, because between CRISPR gene editing and then having to fight viruses, molecules will be the new microchip.
That's Walter.
Molecules will be the new microchip. And molecules are what's spawning the mRNA vaccine. All they got to do is reprogram the molecule, and you can create a whole new vaccine for a new, let me be quiet.
And he's a participant in the Pfizer vaccine trials, and he's written plenty of excellent books. His latest one will be out next year. It's called The Code Breaker. It explores gene editing and the biotech revolution. Walter, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Also with us, Angela Rasmussen. Now, Angela, you got a new job since we last talked. You're now an affiliate with Georgetown Center for Global Health Science Security. And we have lots more questions for you from people who want to better understand vaccines and vaccine development. And here's a question about who the vaccine is for.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm calling from Aberdeen, North Carolina. I am wondering if you guys can discuss how exactly this vaccine is going to work if we can't vaccinate children. I was listening to NPR yesterday, and they were talking about how I think it was the AAP is suggesting developing a vaccine for kids and testing on kids and so on. And it was just an absolute shock to me, because I've never heard of mention of the vaccine not being for kids. And it just really has me wondering how it works if we can't vaccinate our children too and protect them too.
Rachel, thanks. Angela, what is the protocol here? Are any of the vaccines currently in development being tested on children?
As far as I know, they are not. And that's actually an excellent point that Rachel brings up. So these trials enrolled adults, including, and there was a real strong desire to enroll adults who would be in various high risk categories. So people who are HIV positive or immunosuppressed, people with diabetes or heart conditions, pre-existing conditions that we know increase risk for severe COVID, as well as older people and people from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds. Now, that said, there were several groups of people, including children, that were left out of this. And I think that's something that does need to be addressed very quickly. So children and pregnant women in particular have not been evaluated in these trials. And that's something that all of these vaccine manufacturers are going to have to start testing and addressing as soon as possible. Because even though children are at lower risk of developing severe COVID, they can certainly get infected. They can have very negative, severe disease outcomes, although they are more rare, they do occur. And they can also transmit the virus to other people in their household. So it is really important that we start addressing some of these populations of people who were excluded from these initial clinical trials.
Rebecca on Facebook wants to know, A, what the current thought is on how long the vaccine will be effective, and when should I be able to get it?
So we don't know. The short answer about how long the vaccine will be effective is that we don't know. Likely, it probably will be at least a year, because that's what most vaccines do provide, that sort of protection. It could be longer, but unfortunately, the only way to assess durability is to really vaccinate people and then wait and see when their antibody titers start to decrease, or see when they might start becoming more susceptible. So I think though we can conservatively estimate that at least a year in terms of the length of protection. I think that in terms of when the vaccine will be available, when people should get it, assuming that the FDA approves the safety and efficacy data, I would get it as soon as possible. Realistically, because I'm not a frontline healthcare worker, I'm not an older person. That means that I probably won't get access to it until at the earliest next spring, but more likely potentially even next summer. So I think that, we still need to be wearing our masks and practicing distancing and taking all these other precautions for some time to come.
Briefly, Angela, Aaron on Twitter wants to know what made COVID-19 a good candidate for an mRNA vaccine?
So really, COVID was a good candidate because we had the sequence early on, and it was clear, even though it may not have been clear in early January, it was clear that this was an emerging virus that could present a significant public health risk to the world. And the mRNA vaccine platform is really well suited to rapidly designing and developing a vaccine. So I think that really it was more an expeditious need for a vaccine, getting one as soon as possible to deal with this public health crisis that made mRNA vaccines a good platform for this purpose.
We're discussing potential mRNA vaccine candidates with Angela Rasmussen. She's an affiliate with Georgetown Center for Global Health Science Security. I'm Jen White. We'll hear more from you and from our guest in a moment.
Frogs pooping beetles, featherless flying reptiles, stinky chatty cheese. We got it all on Wow in the World, the NPR podcast for kids. I'm Mindy Thomas, inviting you to join me and Guy Raz for an animated scientific adventure of the mind. It's Wow in the World from Tinkercast and NPR. Listen now.
Now let's get back to talking about the mRNA COVID vaccines that are in development with Angela Rasmussen. She's an affiliate with Georgetown Center for Global Health Science Security. Kathy asks, can you explain the difference between the three vaccines in case there's a choice between them? So we have the Pfizer vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, and then the one from AstraZeneca.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are very similar in that they're both mRNA vaccines that are essentially delivering these instructions to your cells on how to make the spike protein that they're immunizing you against. The AstraZeneca vaccine is very different. It actually is what's called a viral vectored vaccine, and it actually uses a different virus to essentially deliver the gene for the spike protein to your cells. So it is a different type of virus called a chimpanzee adenovirus. It's a type of virus that normally causes common cold-like symptoms in chimpanzees, but it can also infect humans. It doesn't go through a full replication cycle, but it will infect your cells, and then it will express the spike protein because it's been genetically engineered to do so. So they're very, very different vaccine strategies. They have their benefits and drawbacks. There are some concerns about the AstraZeneca vaccine in the sense that it is also a 2-shot regimen, but it looks like people may actually be developing immunity to the vaccine itself when it's being given in that first shot, which may mean that it's not able to properly boost in the second shot. So right now, if I had my choice, I would probably choose to take the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines just because it seems like they may be more effective.
Yeah, we'll get more into the details of that AstraZeneca vaccine in a bit. But first, Terry on Twitter says, I'm concerned I'm not hearing a lot about the side effects of the new vaccines. What can your guests say about that, if anything?
Well, so we haven't seen the full safety data from either of the Pfizer or Moderna phase 3 trials. But in the phase 1 and phase 1/2 trials, there were some side effects reported. They're mostly typical vaccine side effects, such as fever, in some cases nausea, muscle soreness at the site of injection. There were a couple of what are called severe adverse events, which are events that are more severe, but nothing that would preclude us from saying, okay, this vaccine is dangerous. It can actually cause significant long-term harm to people. So while we do need to wait and actually look at the safety data from these phase 3 trials when they are presented to the FDA, and hopefully the companies will share them as well themselves, there's really no indication that these vaccines are very different from the side effects that we normally expect from other types of vaccines.
Well, Andrea on Twitter says, can you address safety for people with various autoimmune diseases such as MS, rheumatoid arthritis, etc.?
So, unfortunately, not, again, because I haven't seen the actual granular safety data. But for people with autoimmune diseases or inflammatory conditions, whether they should get any vaccine is something that they need to discuss with their provider, because many of these conditions are actually very different. And some people are medically contraindicated to take vaccines because of the potential for adverse effects that would be caused by whatever immune or inflammatory condition they have. So that really is something that patients should be deciding with their providers and their physicians.
Well, I want to turn our attention to AstraZeneca, which has become the third company with a seemingly effective vaccine candidate. The company said its early analysis was based on 131 coronavirus cases. The trial used two different dosing regimens, one of which was 90% effective in preventing COVID-19, and the other was 62% effective. Joining us now is David Miliband. He's the president and CEO of the International Rescue Committee. That's a global humanitarian aid, relief, and development organization. David, welcome.
Thanks very much. It's great to be with you.
So AstraZeneca says that they have created what they're calling a vaccine for the world. What does that mean?
They've pledged, AstraZeneca, to make 2 billion doses of the vaccine available in 92 of the poorest countries in the world, and they've pledged to do it at $3 a dose. So that's obviously much cheaper than the average of $20 a dose that's been used for some of the other vaccines. Obviously, I'm not here to represent AstraZeneca. I'm concerned about populations around the world who don't have the benefit of effective health systems that can guarantee the kind of effective delivery, including sustaining the right temperatures for the vaccine to ensure that it's delivered. And we serve at the International Rescue Committee war-torn populations in places like Syria or Yemen, displaced populations in places like Ethiopia, and of course refugees in places like Jordan and Lebanon or Uganda.
So what would a vaccine like this mean for the work you're doing at the IRC?
Well, obviously, the key is to get life back to some kind of normality. Now, the health impact of COVID has been less than we expected. It's been bad, but it's not been the rampant killer. But nonetheless, there's real need to get health services back on their feet so that non-COVID cases, as well as COVID itself, can be treated properly. But the economic collateral damage of COVID has been huge, the lockdowns, the interruption of supply chains. And so the vaccine does need to be a vaccine for the world, not just a vaccine for the rich world. And that's true on moral grounds, but also because we all know that until this disease is vanquished all over the world, it's going to remain a threat, even in those countries that manage to get high levels of vaccination.
And Angela, explain a little bit more about these two different dosing regimens AstraZeneca is using.
Yeah, that's an excellent question and one that I've had myself. So it turns out that one of the dosing regimens was actually because of a mistake in which the people conducting the trial miscalculated the first dose for trial participants and gave them half the dose. As it turned out, that ended up being more effective, probably because, as I mentioned earlier, this is a viral vectored vaccine, so you do have the potential to produce immune responses to any exposure to the vaccine itself. The half dose followed by a full dose was actually, according to their data, 90% effective compared to the 2 full dose regimen, which was only about 62% efficacious. So that's a huge difference. And it does seem as though the half dose regimen may be the way to go, but that of course has to be evaluated in a larger trial. And this is one of the main questions that I've had, and I think many of my colleagues have had, is that if this was a mistake and the phase 3 trial that's currently going on is using the 2 full dose regimen, will they be able to enroll additional participants to look at this half dose regimen, or what are their plans for that? I think that's really crucial since there was such a large observed difference in efficacy. Also, because as David correctly said, this can't be a vaccine for only the wealthy countries. This has to be a vaccine for everyone. So you want to make sure that if you are rolling that out to the global population, that you are using the most efficacious formulation.
David, what are the biggest barriers for distributing a vaccine around the globe? You mentioned storage, but what are some of the other things at play?
Well, first and most obviously, in countries that are in conflict, it's very hard to get safe passage. We're obviously all very concerned about the situation in Ethiopia, 110 million people, second largest country in Africa, lots of political tension there. So one, conflict is no respecter of vaccination campaigns, and that's a real danger. Secondly, we know that in many of the most fragile parts of the world, which we serve, it's probably 3 hours to get to a health center. So we worry about situations where the local health infrastructure is weak, and we need to change our philosophy, or the philosophy of the health system. Instead of expecting people to get to healthcare, our philosophy is we've got to take healthcare to people, and that's the use of what are called community health workers. And that raises a third point. If you're moving beyond the infrastructure of a health system with proper electricity, refrigeration, etc., you need to make sure that you're able to get the doses to people in a form where they still work. Now, obviously, the Pfizer issue of the negative 70 degrees is very worrying indeed. We've seen estimates from the UN that 30% of the global population won't be helped if the supply chain requires 35 to 46 degrees of temperature. So you can see that the third big danger is that we can't get the right kind of infrastructure to people in need, especially those who've been displaced by conflict and are not living in urban centers.
David, very, very briefly, what are your big picture thoughts about the importance of making sure an effective vaccine, once available, is distributed globally?
Well, if we don't distribute it globally, then we're not going to have safety locally. We know that even the 95% rates that exist for some of the vaccines mean that some people will still be vulnerable, and we need to vanquish this disease on a global scale as a matter of self-interest, not just a matter of morality. It really counts. We need US leadership because the world is weaker without it.
That's David Miliband. He's the president and CEO of the International Rescue Committee. Also with us, Angela Rasmussen, a virologist. Rather, she's an affiliate at the Georgetown Center for Global Health Science and Security. Thanks to you both for your time.
All right, man. That was cool. Little 34 minutes of Bill right there, question and answer. You probably not going to get any better than that. If you listen to some of the questions, you even had some pseudo questions there addressed pretty quickly regarding that whole bill. I know some of y'all don't get a chance to even get into this realm of understanding what's going on with vaccine, what's going on with COVID, because you really don't have too much of an interest in it outside of the fact that it's affecting your normalcy, your life's normalcy, and you really, are not up on the sciences of that. So let's go take a look at what mRNA vaccine. Listen. Let's see how they defining it. So let's go here and let's get let's see if we can get a good understanding of it. I should have went to CDC, but some people who may watch this might have a problem with CDC. So we'll go to University of Cambridge. So RNA vaccines in the introduction. This is pretty much a good brief summary and everything like that. So vaccinations, blah, 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 we already know about that. Now, beyond infectious disease, RNA vaccines have potential as a listen what it says. RNA vaccines have potential as novel therapeutic options for major diseases such as cancer. This is why the mRNA vaccines are so important. Once you can figure out the genetic makeup of a virus, i.e., y'all remember when this whole thing started, the Chinese had it, then some Europeans had it, and then those Europeans that came over to New York, they had it. That was the hub of it. And then we got attacked from the backside. California started, coming up with cases. And the next thing you know, it started popping up in all of these other places. They started shutting down airports. They weren't taking no more international flights. They started trying to slow certain things, stop going here and there and all of that. It was late, but they started doing that. Now, what you saw in these different variations was that the sequencing in the Chinese was different than the sequencing in the Europeans. The genetic makeup was totally different between these. So once they got that link, the genetic makeup, they could the target population that is included. Okay, once they got that, then they began to understand that they could develop something using the mRNA, the RNA, as a potential. Now, this is a novel, just like coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, the disease that caused the virus, COVID-19, is a novel virus. Novel technology versus a novel virus. Let's see who wins. Now, right now, we got a 90% efficacy. We're in the short stages. We're learning short stages. As we go beyond 90 days, 180 days to, you know what I'm saying? It's so on and so forth, 360. Soon we get to that point and further and further and further, we will continue to learn more. There's vaccines that have been administered 10 years ago that they are still doing research on, that they are still trying to understand the long-term effects, if there's any long-term effects. Okay, so this does not exclude the other vaccines that you've had as a child, you know what I'm saying? And you think that they still not studying the long-term effects. The same, they are always continuously studying these things because they're coming up with new methods to administer. Remember, RNA has none of this coronavirus stuff in it. So they all the pseudos that were talking about they gonna shoot you up with the coronavirus. Remember, it was fake at first, and now they turn around and saying, okay, it's real now. So now they're gonna shoot you up with it. No, not with the mRNA. They're going to program it, molecularly program this thing to actually treat you because they know exactly what it needs to treat you. You know, that's why they kept talking about the receptors. So, summary. Unlike a normal vaccine, RNA vaccines work by introducing an mRNA sequence. The molecule, which tells cells what to build, which is coded for a disease-specific antigen, once produced within the body, the antigen is recognized by the immune system, preparing it to fight the real thing. So it's doing the same things as vaccines was already doing, except for this doesn't have anything in it, but it is training your receptors to acknowledge this violator inside of your body and how to counter it without even having it in you. This is safer. The mRNA is safer. So for all the people who were, I ain't getting this first round, I don't know what's in it, don't even know the ingredients, don't even know what's in the vaccine, I don't know what's in the vaccine, it's mRNA. It's sequence, it's the molecule. The molecule is telling your body how to build up the receptors against the vaccine. It's helping boost your immune system. Not in the sense of really boosting, but making your immune system recognize and react a specific way to the disease or to the specific antigen, as it says in summary 1. Summary 2, RNA vaccines are faster and cheaper to produce than traditional vaccines. And an RNA-based vaccine is also safer for the patient as they are not produced using infectious elements. Come on now. Come on now. Where y'all at? Y'all wanted a safer way to take the vaccine. Scientists began to develop a safer way for you to get them. And now you're scrutinizing the safest way for you to get the vaccine. Richard has no idea. Richard, slow down, bro. You can't say there is no understanding of long-term genetic effect on the genome. You can't say that because what you probably missed the video if you just came in, but this thing is fixable. It is fixable. This thing is doing something that no other this is new. So you can't say what it can't do. You know what I'm saying? You got to let it slow down, Rich. Slow down. All right. Now, production of RNA vaccines is laboratory-based, and the process could be standardized and scaled, allowing quick responses to large outbreaks and epidemics. We're currently in an epidemic, so it's only time. Now, remember, they already had RNA in progress because they already had the stamp of approval. Like Unc told y'all the other day, they had the stamp of approval to administer the RNA dealing with pets. So they already had it in testing mode when it came to pets and stuff like that. So this isn't too outlandish for us to go ahead and do something. And this is why they can skip the animal trials and go directly to human, because of what they learned during the other, dealing with pets. But most current research is into RNA vaccines for infectious disease and cancer, for which there are several early stage clinical trials. There's also some early research into potential RNA vaccines for allergies. So think about this. What if RNA can solve some of the transmitted diseases that's going on sexually, cancer, and other things that people have not been able to get over? Think about the breakthrough, right? But as we continue to go through these phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, all these other ones are in phase 3 right now. As long as we continue to get information, because soon they're going to give us the science behind those trials. We will get the science behind those trials. It will be available to us to download off the internet and review the peer-reviewed work from those clinical trials. And it's probably going to have 200, 300, 400, 500 scientists reviewing this Moderna, Pfizer, and AstraZeneca, whatever the AstraZeneca vaccine work. Okay, all right, Rich. You heard? Okay, cool. Now, most current research into the RNA vaccine of infectious disease and cancer, for which are the early stage clinical trials. There's also some early research into potential RNA vaccines for allergies. All right. There's still a lot of work to be done before the mRNA vaccines can become standard treatments. In the meantime, we need a better understanding of their potential side effects and more evidence of their long-term efficacy. These are things, like I said earlier, that we always are working toward. There's long-term efficacy on all vaccines. They're still studying everything. Now, what are RNA vaccines and how do they work? This is key. Conventional vaccines usually contain an inactivated disease causing organisms or proteins made by the pathogen antigens, which work by mimicking the infectious agent. They stimulate the body's immune response, so it is primed to respond more rapidly and effectively if it is exposed to an infectious agent in the future. RNA vaccines are used a different approach that takes advantage of the process that cells use to make proteins. Cells use DNA as the template to make a messenger RNA, mRNA molecules, which are then translated to build proteins. Slow that down. The RNA vaccines use a different approach from the traditional way or the conventional way to make a vaccine. Okay, they use cells to make proteins. All those cells in your body. They're using your DNA as a template to make a messenger. So your genetic makeup, your DNA, can code itself into creating or building proteins, helping you build proteins. In helping you build proteins, you're building up an immune response to fight against the vaccine. Against the pathogen that has entered your body, right? And it's helping build that immune response. Okay. Now, an RNA vaccine consists of an mRNA strand that codes for a disease-specific antigen. Once the mRNA strand in the vaccine is inside the body's cells, the cells use genetic information to produce the antigen. This antigen is then displayed on the cell surface, where it is recognized by the immune response. See what I'm saying? It goes back to what I'm saying. Your cells are now working to help you fight. Your cells are programming itself to remember, programming itself to say, hey, we need to develop more protein. In developing more protein and with those receptors, you begin to defend your immune system begins to say, hey, we're working here. We're building more. What are we fighting against? A stranger has come into our system. Now, as they said in the video, you heard the lady, she pseudoed it out. You know, is mRNA vaccine going to change your DNA structure? No, it's not going to change all of that. That's crazy. You can't change your genetic makeup. This thing has a job. The job of the RNA is to enter the body, use cells to help you produce proteins. And reducing proteins, it'll help with your immune response. Your immune response recognizes that you're developing more proteins, so it's recognizing to build proteins that's helping you fight against this, which came into contact with your body. And now you're able to fight it off better and allow you to continue to your day as it is when you come into contact with it. Right now, your immune system don't know nothing about the coronavirus for most of us. And even if you've had the coronavirus before, you built up some kind of response to it, but that response fades away. So you build, you know what I'm saying? That's why when they take those tests, they see if you developed, they do that testing to find out if you built up what is required, and then they know it'll go away. I think it's like less than 3 months. I can't think of the word that I want to use right now at the top of my head, but pretty much. Now, how RNA vaccines produce and administered. Now, a major advantage of the RNA vaccine is that the RNA can be produced in a laboratory from a DNA template using readily available materials, less expensively and faster than conventional vaccine production, which can require the use of chicken eggs or other mammalian cells. All right. Now, the RNA vaccines can be delivered using a number of methods: via needle syringe injections or needle-free into the skin, via injection into the blood, muscle, lymph node, or directly into organs, or via a nasal spray. The optimal route for vaccine delivery is not yet known. The exact manufacturing and delivery process of the RNA vaccine can vary depending on the type. So let's deal with the types. The types: non-replicated mRNA. It's the simple type of the RNA vaccine. An mRNA strand is packaged and delivered to the body, where it is taken up by the body cell to make the antigen. In the VVO self-replicating mRNA, the pathogen the mRNA strand is packaging the additional RNA strand that ensured will be copied once the vaccine is inside the cell. Now remember, the conventional vaccine, what does it have to do? They shoot you in your arm. It's got to get in your bloodstream. When it gets into your bloodstream, it's got to, go through your immune system, and then you got to help develop immune response. And then when you come, and that's the dead virus that they got to put in you to help your body recognize, things of that nature, whatever the virus may be. And then you develop an immune response to that particular virus. And then the next time you come into contact, your body has already recognized it and created a response, so you don't have a reaction to running into that virus again. However, with the COVID-19, what we've learned over this last year is that, there was cases where people have caught it again, but there's cases where people have died from it. And there's cases where people have mild symptoms. And then there's cases where people had, a little bit beyond mild symptoms. And then there's cases where people had some really rough times with this. And, they go through a period of, feeling like they're about to die. That's just the truth. Let's just cut straight to the chase. You can't breathe, you lose your taste. You're draining, you're constantly draining, your eyes is messing up, you got headaches, major headaches, you can't sleep, you think you're about to die, your breathing is thrown all the way off, it's attacking your lungs, it's attacking your feet, it's attacking your private area, you got all of these things going on. So we know that we're not developing the proper immune response to fight it on our own. That's why I said a long time ago, And when Uncle try to say, man, we can get herd immunity if enough people get it, but it is dangerous. And then, you know what I'm saying? He was like, we ain't getting no herd immunity now without a vaccine. So here we are. Now, in vitro dendritic cell non-replicating mRNA vaccine. Dendritic cells are immune cells that can be present antigens or in the cell surface to other types of immune cells to help stimulate an immune response. These cells are extracted from a patient's blood, transfected with the RNA vaccine, then given back to the patient to stimulate an immune response. So this is that, what can I kind of tie this into to make sure that people kind of understand it? This is that period of where, like a blood transfusion, so to say, you take some out, some come in. You know what I mean? That's basically what this vitro dendritic cell non-replicating mRNA vaccine is. It's just a, cycle. Taken out, coming in. Now, the benefits of the mRNA vaccines over conventional approaches are safety, efficacy, production. Safety, because RNA vaccines are not made with pathogen particles or inactivated pathogen, so are non-infectious. RNA does not integrate itself into the host genome, and the RNA strand in the vaccine is degraded once the protein is made. Efficacy. Early clinical trial results indicate that these vaccines generate a reliable immune response and are well tolerated by healthy individuals with few side effects. Production. Vaccine can produce more rapidly in a laboratory in a process that can be standardized, which improves responsiveness to emergent outbreaks. We encounter a new outbreak, they just go in there and deal with the molecular or the mRNA, reprogram the molecule up, you know what I mean? Get the genetic makeup of it, boom, boom, boom. They can have all the different, they can make it where it's sequenced to multiple things because they got the genetic makeup. Now, the important challenges, and I agree with these challenges, is the methods to make the mRNA can be very effective. However, there are technical challenges to overcome, ensure these vaccines work appropriately. Unintended effects, delivery, and storage. As you can say, this question came up a lot, and it came up in that video and was highlighted and spoken of. Okay, so unintended effects, the mRNA strand in the vaccine may elicit an unintended immune reaction. To minimize this, the mRNA vaccine sequences are designed to mimic those produced by mammalian cells. So the more they know, the better it'll be. But if it's some things that's going on where it's not duplicating the way that it need to be in some people, then they got to go back in the lab and change that molecular response up. Delivering the vaccine effectively to cells is challenging since the free RNA in the body is quickly broken down. So when it come in, it's gone away. Now, to help achieve delivery, the RNA strand is incorporated into a larger molecule to help stabilize it and or package into particles of liposomes. Now, this is why we also need 2 doses. That's why they mentioned to make sure that you get 2 doses. And that's why one of the people that are a part of the trials, he done had his 2 doses and they're administered at different times. And we need to make sure when we get our first one that we sign up to get our second one. Now, the better that they get with the mRNA vaccine, it may decrease the amount of vaccines that we have to get. So instead of us having to go back, maybe the first one with the right dosage amount can create, long-term efficacy. Now, a long-term immune response. Now, storage. Many RNA vaccines, like conventional vaccines, need to be frozen or refrigerated. Work is ongoing to reliably produce vaccines that can be stored outside the cold chain. since these will be much more suitable for use in countries with limited or no refrigeration facilities. So again, it ain't just about us, it's about the whole world, because this COVID-19 is a pandemic. It is everywhere. So they got to make it to where it can live in a certain temperature. And these places will need storages to be able to harvest it. Just like certain college campuses will be able to, medical campuses will be able to store the mRNA vaccine because they have the facilities to be able to do so on campus, because they're not having to utilize these things at the degree that it's doing, especially right now during the pandemic, because it's really not a lot of kids on campuses. So there's not not a lot of refrigerators being used or stored in a particular way. But they need to work on that. That's something that they could get better at, is the temperature, right? Just so they got to keep on working out those things, and then over time we're going to see the mRNA vaccine for COVID-19 get better, as far as the temperature goes, the delivery, and then cutting down any potential side effects. Like, we might get a swell, like my arm might swell up a little bit. You know what I mean? I might get a little rash. I might be sick for a day, and then I might not get sick no more. You know what I mean? Kind of like when you had that flu. Some people got that flu, they were down and out. I remember the first time I ever got the flu. I was like 9 years old, I believe, when I got the flu. And I woke up in cold sweats. My grandma was looking at me like I was crazy. I didn't know what was happening to me, man. I was just sweating. I was thirsty. I didn't want to eat nothing. Man, I remember everything about that. My grandma was like, you need to stay in bed. She closed the door. I ain't do nothing but just lay there for like 2 days. And then by that third day, I was like, sure, enough of this. I got up. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to do everything. I remember my throat was hurting. I couldn't open my eyes. It's like I had pink eye. I was crying too. But I was an active kid, man. I couldn't do nothing that I wanted to do. It hurt when I stood up. You know what I mean? It took forever to get to the bathroom. I had a hard time with that flu. Now, how could RNA vaccines be used for human health? The most active areas of research into the RNA vaccines are infectious disease and cancer, where there is research ongoing, as well as early stage clinical trials. Work into the use of RNA vaccines to treat allergy is still at the early research stage. One thing that I think that we really need is a solution for cancer. I lost a lot of family members to cancer. I think Black people in the whole, all of us in this chat, probably still watching, can speak to that. Like, we've lost family members, and I don't think that we've been too much honest about that. So imagine having a vaccine that would defeat cancer, some type of cancer, or all cancer, just F cancer altogether. This will give us the ability to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Sequencing this thing down to the T to treat all different variations of cancer. Now, this person that was suffering, we don't lose. I've buried enough people in my family because of this disease, that because of cancer. I don't want to see nobody die from that, man. You watch them go through all of this, man, suffering, and they body shutting down, and they can't sleep in the bed no more. They laying on the floor. They, you know what I mean? They never comfortable. They shrink. It just eats away all the way at them till it takes their entire life. And then you got to sit there and watch them die. You got to sit there and watch that whole transition take place. Whether it's 5 years, 7 years, 6 months, it don't even matter. You watch them die. They ain't eating no more. They stop eating. They don't want nothing to drink. They ain't even talking. They just laying in the same positions. And you know they breathing because they might cough every now and then, but they in so much pain that they can't even do anything. You got to help them use the bathroom. And the hell with that. Infectious diseases. Researchers using conventional approaches have struggled developing effective vaccines against a number of pathogens, particularly viruses, that cause both acute influenza, Ebola, Zika, and chronic HIV-1 herpes simplex virus infection. RNA vaccines are being explored as a way to more rapidly and cheaply produce vaccines for these diseases, particularly in response to emerging outbreaks. Clinical trials have been carried out on an ongoing mRNA vaccine for influenza, cytomegalovirus, HIV-1, rabies, and Zika virus. Case study. A recent study explored the use of programmable self-replicating RNA vaccine delivered in a nanoparticle for a range of infectious disease, including Ebola virus, H1N1 influenza, and Toxoplasma gondii, which were effective in mice. These vaccines can be manufactured in approximately 1 week and made against a range of diseases, demonstrating potential terms of swift response to disease outbreak. That's fascinating. Cancer vaccines. Cancer vaccines are a form of immunotherapy where the vaccine triggers the immune response in a targeting the cancer. Both the dendritic cell vaccines and personalized cancer vaccines, where the RNA sequence in the vaccine is designed to code for cancer-specific antigens, are being explored. Over 50 clinical trials are listed on clinicaltrials.gov for RNA vaccines in a number of cancers, including blood cancers, melanoma, glioblastoma, brain cancer, and prostate cancer. Case study, research sequenced the genomes of tumors for patients with melanoma. They made RNA codings for the mutant protein specific to the patient's cancer that could generate an immune response and made this into a patient-specific vaccine. 8 out of 13 people vaccinated stayed tumor-free for up to 2 years later. RNA vaccines, who's involved? There are a number of companies. We ain't got to get into all of that. We know the companies that are going on, but some of the most notable companies are Moderna. You got CureVac. You got BioNTech. Merck Consortium. Univax. There's a lot going on. Harnessing RNA vaccines for health. What are the challenges and key considerations? I ain't got to read all of that for you, but pretty much I'm gonna throw this in the chat for people who are interested in kind of digging in on that, and I'm gonna get that to y'all like that. Now, man, I done turned this into a history and science class, pretty much. We all got to snuff a white boy on behalf of. Yep. Yeah, we gotta do that. That boy crazy on behalf of Nate Robinson. Yeah, we gotta restore order. We gotta restore order, man. Gotta restore order. But yeah, it's more on it, man. It's back in 2018. So we'll let you know that they've been working on this thing for a while, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't nothing that they just came out of the woodwork with. I ain't gonna read much of this, but this is important stuff. And it shows you the evolution of science. This is why I can sit there and feel good about science. Is because science is always changing and updating and fixing itself and correct, it's correcting itself. And where it was wrong on one thing, it'll get right. Just like Fauci with the mask, he got right. See, I was gonna come to the CDC. As you can see, I already got on that one before, but I didn't want to do that for good reasons. This one was a pretty good read. It's similar to the CDC, but it was a pretty good read. CDC get the same thing, but I think reading it from that perspective, the way that it was given, it wasn't complicated. It was an easy read. It wasn't something that we needed to stop and go look up things. You know, it was like that. Most scientific journals and articles can be a little bit complicated for us all, and we got to go read some stuff that we're unfamiliar with. And we just need to get familiar with how mRNA vaccines work and how it helps trigger an immune response. You know what I mean? I think that there's a slick video. I hope we ain't get no strike. I ain't got no email yet. Yeah, man, it's Tough Talk Tuesday, and you talking with Setep didn't join us, but you know we talking with me and Setep and Sutekh. So let's see. This was a week ago, right? I don't know how long this is, but I'll unmute when this thing go off. I'm glad I had this joke on mute. But you know what I'm saying? Here you go, right here. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So we look at it, we see
ready to fight disease-causing organisms called pathogens. A vaccine is introduced to the body to mimic infection, triggering the body to produce antibodies against the pathogen, but without causing the illness. Conventional vaccines usually contain a weakened or inactivated pathogen, or a piece of a protein produced by the pathogen called an antigen. RNA vaccines are a new generation of vaccines. Instead of the antigen itself, RNA vaccines contain a messenger RNA, mRNA, that encodes for the antigen. Once inside the body's cells, the mRNA is translated into protein, the antigen, by the same process the cells use to make their own proteins. The antigen is then displayed on the cell surface where it is recognized by the immune system. From here, the sequence of events is similar to that of a conventional vaccine. Some RNA vaccines also contain additional mRNA coding for an enzyme, which, after being translated in host cells, can generate multiple copies of the antigen encoding mRNA. This essentially amplifies the production of antigen from a small amount of vaccine, making the vaccine more effective. These are called self-amplifying RNA vaccines. RNA vaccines are easier and safer to produce than conventional vaccines. This is because mRNA molecules can be synthesized in a cell-free system using a DNA template with a sequence of the pathogen. While conventional vaccines usually require a more complicated and risk-prone process of growing large amounts of infectious pathogens in chicken eggs or other mammalian cells. Without the risks of being contaminated by infectious elements or allergens from egg cultures, RNA vaccines are also safer for patients. Because protein synthesis occurs in the cytoplasm, RNA molecules do not need to enter the nucleus, so the possibility of them integrating into the host cell genome is low. RNA strands are usually degraded by cellular enzymes once the protein is made. The relative simplicity of the production process makes it easier to standardize and scale, enabling rapid responses to emerging pandemics. Other advantages include lower production costs and the ease of tweaking RNA sequences to adapt to rapidly mutating pathogens. On the minus side, it can be challenging to deliver mRNA effectively to the cells, since RNA sequences and secondary structures may be recognized and destroyed by the innate immune system as soon as they are administered intravenously. These limitations can be overcome by optimizing codons, using modified nucleosides to avoid recognition, and packaging RNA into protective nanoparticles. Another disadvantage is that most RNA vaccines require uninterrupted refrigeration for transportation and storage, which can be a hurdle for vaccine distribution. Research is ongoing to engineer thermostable vaccines.
Down on that, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, we just need to continue to read up, man, get more knowledgeable, and you know what I mean? Do what we gotta do. Do what we gotta do. But how y'all feel about all that, man? I know that was a lot of information. How y'all feel? Man, go get y'all merch, man. Go get y'all merch, man. Hey, y'all got y'all merch yet? Hey, y'all got y'all merch. Who got their merch? I got like 6, 7 items on the way. I ordered from the website. You know what I'm saying? We got something for the ladies, man. You know what I'm saying? We got something for the fellas. Come on now. Get y'all merch. Mess with us. Here go a better link for y'all right there. I'm finna give you a better link right here. La la la. La la la. I can put that on Facebook. That link right there that y'all got just put in the chat. I can put that on the chat. Yeah. Told y'all Kofi was lurking. He just did this. Okay, he just did this thing. Okay, cause yeah, it wasn't letting us. Facebook wasn't letting us do the thing. So what up? What up? What y'all gonna do? Barbecue meal do. You know what I'm talking about? Barbecue meal do. Yeah, it is groundbreaking, Pure. That's why we in the signs, bro. That's why we mess with That's why we in the signs, man. All the way. 1000%. 1000%. I think Sutekh said he had to go hop in the shower real quick. And a little busy. Awesome George, I got the blue. Tommy Lee, Pamela Drew, Hella. Y'all quiet, man. What's up, man? I'm looking for questions. Questions, concerns, comments by anything that I actually just talked about. About this, whether it's the Jews in West Africa. What's up? What y'all got? What y'all got on my 40, homie? Y'all know old boy got mad too. Old boy, the dude from Jeremiah now, he got mad at us. Well, he got mad at me. I done dropped this link in a bunch of people inbox, yo. I don't even know if they gonna buy it or not. I just put it in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling y'all right now, man. If y'all drop something, man, all y'all gotta do is just put it on me, bro. Just put it inbox me. Whatever it is what you got going on, I bet you I support it. I bet you ain't gotta wait on me to support. Bet you ain't gotta wait on me to support. I support everybody. I'm finna kick my son in this motherfucker behind. He don't shut up. I don't make no excuses. I just support. People be sending me to like their pages. Lamb was Jews. Yeah, all right. Lamb was Jews. Tam and Lamb. Hey man, we need support like y'all need support, man. The thing about it is that me and COVID, you know what I mean, in the team, we be buying y'all books, we be buying y'all shirts, y'all merch, you know what I'm saying? We be supporting y'all pages, we be supporting y'all YouTube channels. You know what I mean? We be supporting. Again, we support y'all works. Y'all put a book out, we buying it. Cause it's the team. We buying it. We buying it. We ain't fussing about it, nothing. We buying it. We buying it. You know what I'm saying? We even, you know, stuff for the ladies, man. Leggings. Come on now. And that's for the dude, because the dudes love seeing the ladies in the leggings. It's a real spill. Love seeing that. We go put this on the like page. The new domain that can be shared on Facebook now, because it's .com. Yeah, I think we at the end of this here, man. Y'all ain't got nothing to say. Y'all done let me talk. Sutekh done let me talk for 3 hours. I've been talking since 9. Can y'all go and like the Mboka like page on Facebook? If you got a Facebook page, please go to, you know, just type in Mboka Clothes and look for the like the like page, look for updates. As new merch will be appearing and popping up. And yes, I watched some of your show and seen you and Sutekh saying something about it, not sharing on Facebook. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was Kofi. So Kofi, told you Kofi was watching those, y'all. Lurking. Yeah, buddy. Put out on Polite Publishing Company. I'm about to translate the King James Bible in Ebonics and put it out on Polite book. Boy, that boy pure hell. Boy, hell, boy. That hell. What y'all think about okay, how important it to understand the tool of CRISPR-9? Okay, my bad, Richard. I see it now. I'm scrolling back. So let's deal with CRISPR-9. You know, that's just basically the gene editing. People aren't familiar. I mean, people not familiar with CRISPR. Let me give you a good. Let me go to live sign. Nah, yeah. Let's go to live. Nope, that ain't updated. It's 2020 medlineplus.gov. Let me check the source. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, yeah, we can use this. All right. I had to my bad. I had to go look at the source, the sources to this article right here. So, you know, basically give you that and basically give you that, but with the two important ventures in dealing with, you know, certain stuff, but I had to go down here and look at the sources and not necessarily read the article. I wanted to see which direction that they were actually going. But let's see what this article is saying, Rich, in regard to your question. And as far as the importance to know, man, I was texting COVID. That's why I kind of missed your question. There's no how important to understand a tool of CRISPR. It's very important, but you know what I'm saying? Most of us don't really understand what a genome, we don't know what gene editing is. So genome editing, also called gene editing, is a group of technologies that give scientists the ability to change an organism's DNA. These technologies allow genetic material to be added, removed, or altered in particular locations in the genome. Several approaches to genome editing have been developed. A recent one is known as CRISPR, or they call Cas9, which is a short for cluster regular interplace short palindromic repeats in CRISPR associated protein 9. The CRISPR-Cas9 system has generated a lot of excitement in the scientific community because it is faster, cheaper, more accurate, and more efficient than other existing genome editing methods. So that's really, at the end of the day, that's what all the buzz is about, is this ability to be more accurate, and it's faster and more efficient. Those are things that are beneficial to scientists. CRISPR-Cas9 was adopted from a naturally occurring genome editing system in bacteria. The bacteria capture snippets of DNA from invading viruses and use them to create DNA segments known as CRISPR arrays. The CRISPR arrays allow the bacteria to remember the viruses or closely related ones. If the virus attacks again, the bacteria produces RNA, segments from the CRISPR arrays to target the virus's DNA. The bacteria then uses Cas9 or a similar enzyme to cut the DNA apart, which disables the virus. Y'all see how this is going with the mRNA vaccine? See how these things, how CRISPR is giving us a clear indicator of what the mRNA vaccine was set out to do because of Cas9. Now, the Cas9 system works similar in the lab. Researchers create a small piece of the RNA with a short guide sequence that binds to a specific target sequence of DNA in a genome. The RNA also binds to the Cas9 enzyme. As in bacteria, the modified RNA is used to recognize the DNA sequence, and the Cas9 enzyme cuts the DNA at the target location. Although Cas9 is the enzyme that is used most often, other enzymes, for example, CPF1, can also be used. So if you're unfamiliar with the enzymes or CPF1, this would be the time that we would need to go and we would need to look up either what enzymes are, bacteria is, or CPF1. Now, once the DNA is cut, researchers use the cell's own DNA repair machinery to add or delete pieces of genetic material, or to make changes to the DNA by replacing an existing segment with a customized DNA sequence. Good night, Trick there. Now, genome editing is a great interest in the prevention of the treatment of human disease. Currently, most research on the genome editing is done to understand disease using cells of animal models. Scientists are still working to determine whether this approach is safe and effective for the use in people, right? But we passed that as far as, you know, what everything else is concerned. So this is really a good article. We ain't got to read too much more to this particular article, but you can, and I'll give it to y'all. You know, but there's more reliable information that actually continues to update. That was a good source, a good read from there anyway. So your Mac battery is getting low. Soon you will need to charge. Problem solved. But you know, you can also go there and deal with that, and you know, we're learning. So That's where we are with that. But yeah, man, you know, it's 12 my time. I gotta work in 12 hours. I actually gonna probably work at 10:30. Something like that. Nah, I probably won't do a little late. I've been going 2 minutes off. My bag off a little bit. Yeah, bag off a little bit. But yeah, man, that's really all I got, man. You know what I'm saying? I think we've been rocking for 2.5 hours on this one. We did an hour and 7 minutes on the other one. You know what I mean? We got our 3.5 hours in a day, man. We advertised the merch store. I put the link to the merch in the thing. Okay. Talking to Kofi right now while I'm talking to y'all. He probably gonna watch because he gonna be up all night probably again. He probably gonna watch this. If he was watching because he said he was watching me and Sutekh, so he was watching this and stopped watching it. He probably gonna come back to that. He might watch the Monster Show. I don't know. That's only an hour. Let me get back to Pure. What you were saying, my bad, Shawn. What the hell? I'm not Pure. Let me just clear it up, bro. I am not debating JJ. He said you gotta yell and cuss like City. I'm not gonna yell or none of that, bro. I'm not debating him, man. I'm using his platform to do two things. One, to advertise for the group, our books, our work, which is important. But it's second. The second thing that I'm doing is just educating the people dealing with one specific claim that is the core claim of his people. His people meaning who he claims to be. And I'm just gonna deal with that, man. You know, I'm just gonna deal with that and move forward because that's the root of the claim, and we got to deal. We got to deal with that. So I'm gonna use this claim as a teaching tool for our people to learn something from, so we can grow from it and we can move on from it. And then when people want to get into it, they'll have something that they can refer back to and study from. And plus, I already know I'm gonna give you the sources. I'm gonna give you the sources. So all you got to do is go back and get to that. And I'm gonna give you some primary documents and all of that. And I'm gonna make a strong argument based on the available evidence that we actually have for against the research question. Remember, I'm not debating Jeremiah. I'm debating the topic. And I'm just going to present a sound argument against the research question. And I'm going to demonstrate how to use proper research methodology to answer the question. I'm going to explain my method, and then I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to use everything that I say in my method to prove, to answer the question I prove, but to answer the research question based on the information available to me. West African, exactly, Israeli. Yep. Well, I don't know if we will actually get new subs because the subs are going to be on, this particular conversation is going to be on Garfield's channel. If people subscribe to my YouTube, they don't do themselves no service. They do better subscribing here or subscribing to the Masa. And so if they do, then you know, that's cool. But yeah, man, you know, we made a conscious effort to drop our books, 7 books this year. Think about that, man. Like, that's a lot of writing, bro. You know, we Kofi and myself and T'Challa are in volume 2 of, you know, Killmonger's Corner, the conscious community, the first Pan-African journal. And then we turn around, we both did individual pieces twice, you know, kids' books, and then, you know, kind of like a journey book. And then we connected with our brothers in the research team to put out 3 volumes right there. You know what I'm saying? And then you never know what's coming in the future, you know, from our brothers. So you already know, you could just feel what, you know what I'm saying? You could just feel it, like, you know, it grew bigger than us, and the body of work that we put in each volume is tremendous. We've gotten better. We've expanded more work. We expanded work, as you can see. Spiritual Combat has more pages in it than the other 2 books, and it's got a new and we still missing. Yeah, Pure. Well, you know what I'm saying? I got this one that you know, my Shawn P or my India Red. I got those YouTube channels, but ain't no content on them. But yeah, in this work right here, you know what I'm saying? We got 9 chapters in this one. And we got 9 good chapters in this one. We start out swinging too, and we close swinging. Yep. So everybody made their contributions, and we proud of the contributions that have been made. The artwork from the cover of the book to the back of the book, you know what I'm saying? Spiritual combat. We is not playing no games. We is not playing no games, man. You know, we bounced around we was West Africa. We was all around Africa, volume 1. We went from West Africa to across to the Americas, back to West Africa, volume 2. Volume 3, we West Africa. We dealing with other narratives. We dealing with, you know, scientific perspectives. Man, we dealing with America, you know what I'm saying? Black America. You know what I mean? RBG style. You know what I'm saying? Black nationalism. We dealing with all of that. You know? In this one, and then ain't no telling what we doing next. Right now, you know, our brothers we don't know if they guns loaded or not, man. You know, we can't even predict if they guns loaded or not, but right now we just vibing off of the works that we got now. We set out a goal, man. We set out a goal to put these books out like this, man, before the year was up. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of transpired into something. We got the scholarship program running. We got the clothing line just came up. So, you know, we put a lot of our own money into and reinvested everything that we've earned off the book sales and stuff into the brand. And you know what I'm saying, with the scholarship program and with the clothing line and all of that stuff, man. And you know what I'm saying, we just trying to make sure all our brothers come down the pike swinging, you know, so we can deal with some more stuff, literally. And do it the right way. Stand on the shoulders of the ancestors and move the needle forward for our people. But yeah, I got about another 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna end this bill unless something pop up in the chat. I hope this was a nice little 2.5 hour bill for everybody who might catch it and watch it in the future. I don't know if it receive a lot of, you know what I'm saying, people get intimidated by 2 hours. So, you know, hopefully we hopefully you get some views on that one. Share this one again. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. We appreciate everybody, man, for everything they do, man. We count down to say right now. I'm gonna say that's it for us on the Kofi Pie Side Research Team. Look forward for additional work. Make sure you tune in Friday to on the Dagger Squad channel Friday evening. I forget what time. I will be having a conversation with brother JJ 7000. He been down my backs, you know what I mean, blowing my messenger up and begging me to call him and all kind of things to try to debate me on something. I don't know why, but we're gonna get it cracking, man. You know, we're gonna deal with the question. We ain't dealing with the antics. So, you know, I might have a little couple of antics for him in the additional rounds, but I'm coming to teach. So on that note, I'm gonna say Shimon Hotep, depart in peace. Keep Kofi in your heart, your conversations and thoughts. Don't forget to get your volume 3 of Spiritual Combat. Make sure you go to the merch store, man. Make sure you get the merch. Get the merch, get the merch, get the merch, get the merch, get the merch. Get the merch, man. Get the merch. It's gonna be in the description. Get the merch. Family Connected Apparel. Get the merch. You know what I mean? Get the merch. The book. Get the book, get the merch. We ain't trying to polite you or none of that. You feel me? We ain't trying to polite you or none of that. We ain't trying to do none of them. Both links is in the description. To the merch, to the books. Never occur you. This is usually temporary. Wait a moment, try again. I probably gotta do it on the Facebook side. All right, I'll do it on the Facebook side. Speaking of West Africa, I'm gonna start on HBO right now. Wow. All right, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and I guess I'll watch that, man, until I doze off. I'm gonna start reading my book. But all right, y'all have a good one, man. Take care. Let me go on and end it. Let me end it like this. Let me brand it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Shimon Motel.